Good afternoon, children. We have done the reading till here. Now we'll continue from here. A bowler hearted man near the mantelpiece greeted him as James entered his sitting room. I am Johnson, sir, security officer at Whitehall. He showed his identity card and continued, I presume you know why I am here, sir. To the extent that is conveyed in this note, replied James. He knew that it would be useless to ask Johnson for further details. I won't take long. Johnson's Ford Cortina brought them to Whitehall in less than 90 minutes. It took them another 10 minutes to reach the chambers of Sir John Macpherson. Having introduced James to Sir John, the quiet but efficient Johnson slipped out. Dr. Fawcett, my apologies for the imposition on your time. Sir, John advanced him with outstretched hands. To avoid any further delay, I will come to the point right away. Sir John handed him a typescript. Why, it's my paper to nature. How did you get this original manuscript? James was surprised and somewhat uneasy. Sir John saw his anxiety and continued. Taylor, the editor of Nature, is friend of mine. I had asked Nature to publish it without delay. Since it is a very important, James looked puzzled. I agree that it is important, so important fact that it must never be published. That is if what you say is correct. Sir John lit his pipe. James would have never tolerated aspirations on the accuracy of his work or the implied order that it must be suppressed. But if he knew Sir John to be respected scientist and was willing to hear him out. Please do not misunderstand me, Dr. Fawcett. I met Taylor today at lunch in the club where he showed me a paper. I still retain enough interest in astronomy, you know, and he asked for my opinion before sending it to Professor. Let me assure you, sir, John, that it is correct. I stake my reputation on it. James could not contain himself anymore. Do you realize what will happen if Comet Datta collides with the Earth as you predict it will? The effects will be catastrophic. That is why I have taken extra care to verify my calculations. Bearing the rare circumstances, the collision is inevitable. James was confident, but Sir John picked out one qualifying phrase. What are those rare circumstances? Well, it might collide with some other asteroid before reaching here, or it might just split up when near the sun, or it might evaporate. But one can't count on these fortuitous circumstances. We have to proceed on the assumption that comet Datta will collide with the Earth. Cometary collisions are expected to occur once in 10 million years, but now we know that the next one will occur in a year. 10 months to be precise, interjected James. Thank you for the correction. Do you realize that we have only 10 months of survival left for the entire living species on the Earth? Don't you think we have to do something to stop all this? A fleeting smile crossed James' face, just like a evil civil servant. As if we are facing a minor breakdown of law and order, he thought to himself aloud. He said, how may I ask, can we prevent this natural catastrophe? I don't know. We have no option but to try. I think we need more than two brains to handle this situation. It is essential to call an urgent meeting of experts from all over the world to think of a countermeasure and, of course, in total secrecy. Think of the panic in the world if this dreadful news leaks out. Sir John glanced at the manuscript in James' hand. My suppressing this paper will not hide the truth, Sir John James said. There are others who will arrive at the same. No, do not suppress it, but tone it down. And many ifs and buts to make your conclusion appear not so certain. I will exert all my influence with friends in other countries to make them exercise a similar restraint for a while. For how long? Until this wretched comet is safely out of the way. Let us spend some time now to plan the details of this international conference. Shall we call it in a week's time here? A week to plan such an important secret conference of international experts. James thought it is an impossible task, but Sir John disagreed and began to spell out details.